Today, I will tell you the story of the Canterbury Tales. The story begins in England during the spring season. As flowers bloom and birds sing, many people feel inspired to go on pilgrimages or religious journeys. One evening, a group of travelers arrived at the Tabard Inn in Southwark near London. Although they came from different walks of life, they all shared the same destination, and that is Canterbury. Among them were a knight, a merchant, a miller, a wife from Bath, a pardoner, and many others. In total, there were 29 pilgrims. As they gathered at the inn, they ate dinner, talked with one another, and prepared for their journey. The owner of the inn, Harry Bailey, welcomed the travelers warmly. Seeing that they would be spending many days together on the road, he proposed a contest. He suggested that each pilgrim tell stories during the journey to make the trip more enjoyable. The pilgrim who told the best story would receive a free supper upon their return. The pilgrims liked the idea and agreed to join the contest. The next morning, they set out on the road to Canterbury, and one by one, they began telling their tales. And so began the famous journey known as the Canterbury Tales. One of the pilgrims is the merchant. The merchant is a wealthy businessman who has become disappointed with marriage. When it is his turn to tell a story, he tells a tale about an old knight named January, a young woman named May, and the consequences of desire, deception, and poor judgment. This story is known as the Merchant's Tale.
I am the merchant. Today, I'm going to tell you about the story, the Merchant's Tale. Long ago, there lived a wealthy knight named January. Though he was really old, he believed that marriage would bring him happiness, comfort, and honor. After much thought, he decided to find a young and beautiful wife. Among many women, January chose a young maiden named May. She was beautiful, youthful, and admired by many. January was delighted, believing he had found the perfect wife. January loved May deeply and devoted all his attention to her. But while he saw their marriage as a dream come true, May did not share the same feelings. She felt trapped in a life she had never truly chosen. Living in January's household was a young squire named Damien. He soon became enchanted by May's beauty. Unable to hide his feelings, he secretly confessed his love through letters. To Damien's surprise, May responded, and their secret correspondence grew into a forbidden romance. Hidden from January's eyes, their affection deepened. Not long after, January lost his eyesight. Darkness covered his world, and he became completely dependent on May to guide him. Seeing an opportunity, May and Damien planned to meet in secret. They arranged a rendezvous in January's private garden beneath a pear tree. One day, May persuaded January to accompany her into the garden. While her blind husband waited below, she climbed the pear tree where Damien was hiding. Unknown to the people in the garden, two powerful gods were watching from afar. Pluto, king of the underworld, pitied the old knight January, who had been living in darkness. Moved by sympathy, Pluto decided to restore January's sight. But Proserpina, queen of the underworld, disagreed. She believed women should not be so easily blamed or punished. Determined to help May, she granted her a quick mind and a clever tongue, so that if she were ever caught, she could defend herself. At that very moment, January felt a sudden change. The darkness that had clouded his eyes vanished. For the first time in many months, he could see again. He looked up toward the pear tree. What he saw filled him with shock and disbelief. There among the branches were May and Damien together. January cried out in anger, "May, I have seen everything with my own eyes." But Proserpina's gift was already at work. Without hesitation, May answered calmly, "My lord, you are mistaken. I climbed the tree only to help restore your eyesight. The remedy required me to perform this act. If you see things strangely, it is because your vision has only just returned." Her words were confident and convincing. Although January had witnessed the truth, he chose to believe May's explanation. Rather than face the painful reality before him, he embraced the comforting story she had given him. Thus, May escaped punishment. Damien went free, and January remained content in his illusion. The tale reminds us that sometimes people see the truth with their eyes, yet refuse to accept it in their hearts. That is the merchant's tale.
After several pilgrims have shared their stories, it becomes the turn of the Squire. The Squire is the young son of the knight. Unlike his father, who is experienced and respected, the Squire is youthful, romantic, and fascinated by adventure. His tale is filled with magic, wonder, and chivalry. This story is known as the Squire's Tale.
I am the young Squire, and that old merchant was too cool. And today, I'm going to tell you the story of the Squire's Tale.
In the distant kingdom of Tartary, the great king Cambyoscan held a splendid feast to celebrate his birthday. Nobles, knights, and ladies gathered in his magnificent palace, enjoying music, food, and merriment. But before the celebration could continue, an unexpected visitor arrived. Into the royal hall rode a mysterious knight dressed in shining bronze armor. He came from a faraway kingdom and carried marvelous gifts unlike anything the court had ever seen. The entire hall fell silent as he approached the king. The knight presented 4 magical gifts to King Cambyoscan. a brass horse that could fly through the air faster than any bird, a magical mirror that revealed hidden dangers and false friends, a golden ring that allowed its wearer to understand the language of birds, and a magical sword that could both wound and heal. The court gazed upon these wonders in amazement. The magical ring was given to Princess Canys, the king's beautiful daughter. Curious about its power, she placed it upon her finger. At once, she discovered she could understand the speech of birds and all creatures of the sky. One morning, while walking through a peaceful garden, Canys heard a falcon crying in sorrow. Thanks to the ring, she understood every word. The falcon spoke of betrayal and heartbreak. She had loved a noble falcon, but he abandoned her for another bird. The falcon told Canys how she had trusted her beloved completely. Yet, he had broken his promises and left her suffering. Her grief was so great that she wounded herself in despair. Canys listened with compassion and promised to help. Canys gently carried the falcon back to the palace. There, she cared for the injured bird and tended to its wounds. Through kindness and patience, she helped the falcon recover. As the story continued, many more adventures seemed ready to unfold. The magical horse, the enchanted mirror, and the noble knights all hinted at greater quests to come. Yet, before those adventures could be told, the tale suddenly ended. Chaucer never finished the story. Though unfinished, the Squire's tale celebrates wonder, imagination, loyalty, and compassion. It reminds us that true nobility is shown not only through strength and power, but through kindness towards those who suffer.
Yo, 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 I'm Franklin, and those two are two old ass. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of Franklin's tale.
Long ago in Brittany, there lived a noble knight named Arviragus and his beautiful wife, Dorigen. Unlike many marriages of their time, the relationship was built on mutual love and respect. They promised to honor one another and live as equals. Their happiness seemed complete. Soon, Arviragus traveled to England to seek honor through military service and knightly adventures. Though she supported his journey, Dorigen was heartbroken by his absence. Every day, she waited for his return. As Dorigen walked along the coast, she often gazed at the dark rocks scattered throughout the sea. She feared that one day those jagged black stones might destroy her husband's ships and take his life. The sight filled her with anxiety and sorrow. During Arviragus' absence, a young squire named Aurelius fell deeply in love with Dorigen. For many months, he admired her from afar. Finally, unable to hide his feelings, he confessed his love. Dorigen rejected Aurelius, remaining loyal to her husband. But wishing to end his pursuit, she jokingly gave him an impossible condition. She said she would love him only if he could remove every black rock from the coast of Britain. Certain that such a task could never be accomplished, she thought the matter ended. Desperate to win Dorigen's love, Aurelius sought the help of a skilled magician. Using his knowledge of astronomy and religion, the magician made the rocks appear to vanish from the coastline. When Dorigen saw the sea free of rocks, she was horrified. The impossible challenge had been fulfilled. Dorigen felt trapped. She had given her word, yet fulfilling her promise would betray her husband. She suffered greatly, torn between honor and loyalty. When Arviragus finally returned home, she told him everything. After hearing the story, Arviragus was saddened, yet he believed that keeping one's word was a matter of honor. Though it pained him, he told Dorigen that she must fulfill her promise to Aurelius. His noble response revealed the depth of his character. When Dorigen came to Aurelius and explained her husband's honorable decision, Aurelius was deeply moved. Seeing her faithfulness and Arviragus' nobility, he realized that true love could not be forced. Instead of claiming his reward, he released Dorigen from her promise, and she was free. The story did not end there. When the magician learned of Aurelius' generosity, he too acted nobly. He forgave the enormous debt Aurelius owed him for creating the illusion. Thus, kindness inspired kindness. In the end, no one sought revenge, punishment, or selfish gain. Instead, honor, mercy, and generosity triumphed. The tale asks a simple question: who was the most noble? Arviragus, who valued honor above his own happiness? Dorigen, who remained loyal despite her suffering? Or Aurelius, who gave up the woman he loved? Or the magician forgave a great debt? The answer is left for each listener to decide. True nobility is not measured by power or wealth, but by the willingness to put honor, mercy, and kindness above oneself. And that is the end. This is Canterbury, the Canterbury Tales.